This is something that is so desperately needed in today's world, and that's courage. That's this week's MSP, and that's what we're going to talk about. All right, guys, we desperately need people with courage. That word, courage, that's the glue that takes what we believe in and is able to transfer it into the energy that we need to push through our own self-preservation. What does that mean? Well, for centuries, warriors have been called to and have had purpose to be able to stand on the battlefield to fight enemies that are threatening their way of life, knowing that that was necessary, knowing that they had a duty and a calling to be able to show up there. Why push through that? Why push through on an almost certain death? Why in World War II should guys go fight and battle knowing that they were going to die? Why? Well, because they had a why so strong that it gave them the courage. This word of courage is giving us the energy and the essence and the spirit to show up even though we might risk everything. It's the transference of action. It's the transference of taking what we know is right, taking what we know we are living for, and turning it into something. And this is a key thing. This characteristic of a person, courage, is a really important thing to understand. And I'm challenging you guys this week to turn it into something. You can have your why set. We can have our honor. We can have our purpose. We can have our goals, and we can have our plan. But when it comes to put that into motion and to attack that and crush it with everything that we have, we need courage to take that first step. We need courage to follow through and to commit what we know is right with all of our being and all of our soul. I want you to be able to take courage and make it tangible, make it palpable, feel it, know it's a thing, know it must come into existence in order for you to take action. It's countering that idea of, you know what, I believe in all this stuff and I know that that's the right thing to do, but I'm not going to do it. That's a lack of courage. There's a quote by one of my all-time favorites, C.S. Lewis, is that it's most likely that our children are going to meet cruel enemies, but let them at least know of brave knights and heroic courage. Why? Why do we want them to know about brave knights and heroic courage? Because that heroic courage that they'll understand and come to know will spark them to do the same. We have amazing stories in our history that were like mind-blowing to read back and listen to some of these leaders out there that risked everything for our sake. Warriors in the past wars, all the way up until our known existence that's been written in history. To be able to know what sparked that was their ability to convert it. Now, we're all different. We all come from different walks of life. But the challenge here for this week's MSP is to be able to take what we know is right, why we're living for what we're living for, and then have the courage to put it into action. How often do we have something come up in our environment where we know it's the right thing to do, but we don't do it? And we leave and we beat ourselves up for it. Why? That's our consciousness. That's our conscience talking to us to be like, you knew what you were supposed to do and you didn't do it. I hope every single one of us takes that and next time is proposed with the same idea, the same circumstance, we act upon it. Kevin Houston comes to mind. We called him Juicy. He was a guy that I got to work with. I was blessed to be able to know him. And he was on extortion 17. And we just had Memorial Day pass by. And honestly, every day is Memorial Day. And we have to live a life that these guys would be proud of. And to be honest with you, there was a circumstance that happened in my life where Juicy gave me the ultimate example of what courage really was. Adam Brown was somebody that was one of my best friends. He was one of the guys that I look up to in the teams. And he ultimately lost his life doing something heroic and had courage to put himself in a position to expose himself to the enemy, to try to help his brothers in arms. He ultimately lost his life in that fight against the enemy. And we were doing a muster. We were doing something where a bunch of team guys, a bunch of SEALs come together. And during that muster, we were all catching up. We're all having a cocktail. We're all doing a toast. And they put on a slideshow with Adam Brown and said, hey guys, we're going to talk about something that's very important. And the slideshow started to play. Most of us quieted down to give our full attention to what was being presented to us. Most of the room wasn't paying attention, and they were still going on about their business. Whether they were talking about something important or not, this was the most important thing happening in the room because we were honoring the life of a fallen brother. And while that was going on, I think every one of us had that same gut feeling talking to us saying, you know your purpose, you know your why, you know how important Adam Brown was to you. This isn't right that other people are making noise in the room. Why aren't they shutting the heck up? And eventually the one to stand up was Juicy. And he yelled at the top of his lungs, hey, pay attention. And then he had some more choice words that I'm sure you can fill in the blank. And he got everybody to quiet down and have that silence that was deserved in that moment. And every single one of us was thinking the same thing. That should have been me. I should have took action. That was a perfect example of what courage truly is. He knew what was in his heart. He knew what was on his gut. And he knew what the right thing to do was. And to take action, he had the courage to stand up. Juicy inspires me every single day to take action when I know I see something that isn't right, to do the right thing. There's people out there playing the knockout game. There's people out there picking on other people. There's people out there bullying. There's people out there saying things that are against our way of life and our values, and nobody's doing anything about it. And my challenge to you this week and forever is, are you going to have the courage when it takes courage to stand up and to take action to do the right thing? I hope you will, and I hope that you'll remember this video when you remember that it takes good people to do great things and to transfer our why and our purpose into action. That's true courage. I'll see you guys on the next MSP video. Armor up.